Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Linked In for August 22nd, 2012. My name is Link, bringing you your gaming interaction and community discussions. To submit a question, please read the description below. In the background you will see yesterday's video of me playing Malphite. Well, the Unbreakable video. Mostly because I didn't have much time to do anything today. I had a lot of doctor's appointments and crap like that, and I think I still am sick. Anyway, Also, another thing, at the end of this video I will be saying who got their Awesomenauts key. If they don't claim it by Friday when the next Linked In is recorded, they will not have a chance to get it. Okay, so, on to the first question, which is a nice one. Okay, well, not really, but I got it mixed up. I have the order out of order. Okay, so that's number 2. So, what champions do you hear people find hardest to play and why? And how would you suggest playing them? Ooh, well, okay, so out of champions, most that I see that aren't really played well, one of them has to be Cassiopeia. Why? Because of her kit. Her kit just screams difficulty. And because of this, most people don't really know how to play her. Like, you have to know when to use your skills, how to use them effectively, and more importantly, when you're not allowed to actually do your damage, and you should just go in there and just basic. Now, I really haven't played a lot of Cassiopeia, but from what I know, she's kind of spammy, and I'm actually trying to find a list right now of champions listed by difficulty so I can see. I mean, Shaco. Shaco's a very hard champion to play as well because, well, Shaco is Shaco, and he has so much abilities in his kit and so many different variations to use them that it's kind of hard to like really tell how to play him. Like, you could blink somewhere, hit someone with a dagger, and like you just wasted your blink and your dagger. All you have left is your Jack in the Box. I mean, there's other variations to how you actually will play him, and there's just things of that nature. Now, I'm still trying to find this. Is this the list I'm looking for? No, it's not. There's a list that I found a little while back that showcases everyone by their attributes, and I really still can't find that. Huh. Well, I should have looked it up a little bit before I was actually going and started this recording. But a couple other champions I'd have to say... Hold on. Another couple other champions I have to say is really hard to play is definitely Orianna. She's very difficult. Mostly because you have to look after both the ball and her. Now, one thing I say about this is Orianna is easy for me. Same thing with Twisted Fate, who also has pretty much... I play Ziggs, I play Twisted Fate, I play Shaco, and I go to Orianna on her free weeks. Now, you're probably all wondering why, because they all have pretty high skill ceilings. I mean, by leagues, they're all rated at 90s and 80s. I'm also decently Sin, and Victor, who are rated both highly. And yet, here's the funny part, I suck at people like Master Yi, and people like Nasus and Mordekaiser. Their kits are so simple that I just can't find variation, and people know like there's only one thing they can do. That's why champions with higher difficulties are actually harder to counter. Like, if we look at someone like LeBlanc, she's got so much variation, and that's going to make her higher difficulty, but that also means that she has more different ways to attack you. Now, from this, it's showing that, well, if they have more variation, that they're actually harder to play, and being harder to play is good, because it makes it where the other person has no clue how to fight you. And yeah, so I'd have to say the hardest ones in my opinion, Orianna, Cassiopeia, LeBlanc, Kassadin, Karma, and Corki. Those are some of the hardest in my opinion, and I tried covering all the lanes. Solo top, I'd have to say the only solo top I think that'd be difficult to play. Nidalee? No, she's not difficult. Cho'Gath, because unless you're really good at him and his timing, it's pretty difficult. Okay, on to the next skin. So we're looking at Blue Mala. Hopefully I got that right. Which skins would you like to see in game, and for what champions? Well, Astronautilus and Pool Party Ziggs. And why is this? Because we've pretty much been teased by them, and now they're no longer happening. Because according to what I've been reading, the guy backed out because Riot didn't give him, Riot didn't get the rights to his art. So the concept is still his, and they also screwed him over on something, and I don't know. Pretty much I heard a big legal battle is taking place, and by big I mean like small claims court. But I'd like to see those two skins. I also like to see Mailman Twisted Fate. For those of you who don't know, I think there's art somewhere around that. If there's not, the concept I read on the forums was amazing for it. Also, Ezreal Gragas. Now, some of you may not know, but if you go back to the, I think it was PAX last year, you look at those pictures, you're going to see a rather obese man in a Ezreal costume. And from that time, someone's actually made the splash art for Ezreal, or I think it was like Explorer Gragas, and it looks just like Ezreal. It's hilarious. What's another one I'd like to see? I would definitely like to see, what was it? Human Orianna and Human Amumu, which those two were. I can't find them anymore. It's like, is League cracking down on this? Because like my friend sends me all these through Deviant art, and I look at them and they just look amazing. And then like I went to try and find them before this so I could stick them in the video, and I can't. Another Rumble skin. I'd maybe like a. You know how Blitzcrank has his skin? Yeah, maybe a good Rumble skin, like the opposite version. As for Caston, we need a skin with more particle effects. Lee Sin, yeah, he's starting a borderline on Teemo skins. Who else do I think should have a good skin? Well, there's not really many left that have any bad skins. That's the thing. Let's see. Rise, he just got a new skin, which I forgot to buy last week. Nasus is in desperate need of a new skin, and for him, I don't really know. They might have to go goofy for him because they already covered almost all the serious topics, or maybe do a full metal Nasus. That'd be cool. Maybe do a they need to do like a human series where they just like turn the champions into humans, like human Mordekaiser, human Scion, like not dead, or like unarmored Nautilus. They should need to strip some of these champions down to like something basic, and that would look amazing because it look like there's some sort of like Greek god and doing extraordinary things. Okay, enough about random stuff and me starting to lose topic because I don't think there's any more skin ideas I have. Besides Anaconda Cassiopeia. That was the dumbest idea. I was on the forums earlier and someone's like, just make Cassiopeia and get an Anaconda and like make her body twice as long. I'm like, that is dumb. Okay, so on to the last question and my favorite of the bunch I picked. What do you think of Syndra? What do you think she could do in the current meta by YouCuddle Games? Well, what do I think Syndra can do in the meta? Well, she's pretty much Orianna's counterpart. Orianna's better half, if you will. But she's also easily counterable. Now, from what I've seen with her kit sent in by, or what I've seen by people from Curse sending in videos, is that I've seen that there is a lot of... She's got no real CCs, but she has a lot of mobility and a lot of damage. Now, we can start with her, well, her basic. Her basic abilities gain an extra effect at maximum rank. So, that's like an extra That's like a extra ultimate, kind of like Karma, except it's in her passive. So once they reach level 5, they do more damage or something. So yeah, that's great. Now, Dark Sphere. We have conjures a Dark Sphere at a location, dealing magic damage. The sphere lasts for 8 seconds and can be manipulated by Syndra's abilities. After 6 seconds, the sphere will gain an additional visual effect notifying the player that is about to expire. Okay. Now, this has a relatively low cost at low levels, but a decent cost at high levels. The cooldown is spammable as it is going to be... This is going to be something like Ziggs' Bomb. And I think it does have a small channel time as well. It does AoE damage too. So this is something like Ziggs' Q, and it's really quite long range. Now, its damage to champions in the... Oh, okay. So its damage ratio is pretty good. It's 60%, and it starts off relatively high, which is great. Because she is not meant to be built as a tank. She's meant to be built as a Victor, or an Orianna, or a Ziggs. What I mean by that is a Rod of Ages, and then start building some cooldown reduction, and then some damage. Now, with her innate or transcendent bonus, which is her passive's bonus, it gets 20% extra damage against champions. So imagine Orianna's Q, except targetable and has no travel time but a small channel time. And also when she reaches to level 5, it gets a 72% bonus. So she's going to be really hellish in the beginning of any laning phase. And you may have to start counter-picking her, so I'm expecting a lot of Ziggs, Twisted Fates, and Gragas and Luxes upon her release. So we have Force of Will, which I don't think, like... Okay, Force of Will. She grabs a Dark Spear or a minion. Okay, she either grabs a Dark Spear, an enemy minion, or a neutral monster. And, well, they're not allowed to grab Baron or Dragon. But now, after she gets this, she can either... She throws it at the enemy, and they are slowed for 2 seconds. This is her only CC, other than her... Well, this is one of her CCs. Now, this is her utility spell, which is why it has such high ratios and has such high... Actually, she's got 2 utility spells, which... Well, I mean, Orianna does. She has her utility skill to she's got her shield, and she has her dissonance, which is a buff slow. This is kind of an Orianna counterpart, and I really like it. Okay, so we have Force of Will. Cooldown is meant for utility, as you can tell by it starting at 12 and ending at 8. Upon having 40% cooldown, it's around 6 seconds, so this is used quite often. This is also used to either get a CS and do some damage to an enemy. Its ratios start at 80 and end at 280 with a 70% ratio, and the damage itself, or the slow itself, goes from 25 to 45 by the last level. This I would actually suggest maxing second, because it does have a slow that increases. Now we're going to go to her, I think her skill that you max last, which is, oh wait, sorry, I forgot the Transcendent bonus on Force of Will. It knocks enemies into the air for a short time. So it hits them and it knocks them up. So that's good. That's why it's good to get that second, because then it becomes a Cho'Gath W, so that's great. I think W's Rapture. I hope it is. Okay, so now we have Scatter the Weak, which is a small conal effect in front of her. Does magic damage in a cone and knocks enemies away from her. And, or depending on how close they are, they get knocked further away. Now, you can put a Dark Sphere in this, and it'll deal magic damage and stun them if it hits an enemy. So you can put one down, hit them with it, and then get them stuck in a combo. Like you can pick that sphere back up using Force of Will and then throw it at them, doing even more damage, knocking them up and CCing them for a couple more seconds, which allows you to drop another sphere on them. I mean, she's got a very deadly combo, and I can't wait to do a champion preview on that. Okay, so the ratios on this are as really what we would see for a utility spell. It's got really slow degrading cooldowns from a 14 to a 10 over 5 levels, so that isn't that good. At a 40% cooldown, we're looking at 8 seconds, about 8 to 7. So this is meant for utility mostly, or clearing a gap, or CCing during a major fight. The ratios are really low, which is meant to be getting against its utility. It starts at 60 and gets to 22, and the ability power ratio is 0.5. And yeah, Oh, and upon getting level 5, which, yet again, this is for utility's sake, it gets 50% larger cone around where it attacks. Also, the mana cost on this and the previous spell are static. They're rather low, 50 and 60. Which, yet again, she's meant to be spamming these. Now here comes her ultimate, which is the best thing of her. Okay, so also, remember, those spheres, they dissipate over 6 seconds, and you can get your cooldown to 3. So you can have three spheres on the field at once if you have enough cooldown reduction. If you have 40%, you may even get lucky and get 4. Now, she has 3 spheres that always orbit around her, so even if you activate this with no spheres on the ground, she will be able to use it. Now, upon activating, all of her cataclysmic might and all her dark spheres to deal damage to one enemy champion. 3 dark spheres orbiting around Cinder become active and are added to the total of active spheres. The cooldown is 100 to 90 to 80, and then we have for her base damage scaling rather high, starting at 210, going to 420 at the end with a 60% bonus. Now, every sphere added after that has a 20% bonus plus an extra 140 damage. This is at max level. Now, they did cap it, apparently, at 6 spheres, so you cannot do 7 spheres like I was just talking about. So, you can do, and that's maximum damage is around 1,260 plus 180%. And that's kind of devastating right there. So you can do up to 3,000 damage if you have around 600 ability power. Now, here's what I think her combo should be and why, or how she's going to fit into the meta. So her combo will be as such. She will throw down her Q, hit you with Scatter the Weak, and knock you up and slow you down. Upon this happening, she will either summon another Dark Sphere upon you, and then grab the other one, which will refresh its cooldown, and throw that back at you with Force of Will, which will knock you up and then slow you. Keep in mind you are stunned for 1.5 seconds, which allows her to line this up quite well. Now, after this happens, the 2 will be nice and fresh and have a few seconds, so you can activate another Dark Sphere, then right into your ulti, while Scatter the Weak and Force of Will are on cooldown. Now, they'll be on around 6 seconds and 4 seconds, so about the time you're done with this combo, they'll be back up. Now remember, your spheres are back on the ground after this, so you have a chance of picking another one up and throwing it and getting another stun, and try keeping them there for an extra few seconds if they manage to survive your major blast. Excuse me. Now for the meta, I see this being very strong and not really easily countered, and I really think that, well, I really think it's going to make her a very viable mid and possibly overpowered. And also, she has a custom return animation. Yep. For those of you who get that little joke right there, that's awesome. Okay, so the winner of the Awesomenauts key is John, Jan, 3601. That is John 3601. Jan 3601. You have until Friday's LinkedIn to reply to me on YouTube and get your key. Now, I will be back on Friday for my last video, hopefully not sounding like this, and I will talk to you all later.